Welcome to episode 30 of Whispers of the Womb. Today we have a special guest, Prash Sharma, the Heartbreak Healer, joining us from the UK. Prash's work resonates deeply with the journey of healing and transformation. With a focus on supporting survivors of childhood abuse, Prash embodies a mission to break the stigma and create a safe haven for those who have felt isolated by their experiences. Join us as we dive into Prash's insights, wisdom, and her journey of helping individuals reclaim their power in finding healing amidst heartbreak. So, welcome, community. I am delighted today to be joined by Prash, and she's from the UK. So, I'm going to hand you over to Prash now, and she's going to explain a little bit about herself and what she does.
Hi, I'm so excited to be here today. Thank you so much, Suzanne, for having me. This is an incredible podcast. I've been listening to a few episodes and it's so exciting. So to anyone who doesn't know me, I'm Prash and I am the Heartbreak Healer. I'm from UK, like Suzanne said. I am very close to Heathrow Airport. So if you hear any noise in the background, please know what it is. So I used to normally work with women who were going through abusive relationships or unhappy relationships almost, but I've kind of pivoted a little bit to work with women who are survivors of childhood abuse. I do tend to say childhood sexual abuse, but I've found working with many clients that sexual abuse tends to be repressed. Hence the reason why I stick with childhood abuse, because abuse and trauma is layers that we peel off every single time we work and more comes up. So that's what I do. I normally tend to work with women who are survivors, especially because I found that there's so much stigma surrounding abuse. There's so much judgment around abuse that these women almost feel like they have nowhere they can feel safe. There's nowhere they can be themselves and speak about themselves. They almost feel excluded or isolated. And I'm on a mission to almost change that.
I love that. Thank you so much for that lovely introduction. So you've just got a new website out, which for everyone who wants to go and have a look, it's fabulous. And that's theheartbreakhealer.co.uk. And in that, I was having a little look at your transformational program that you do, Beyond Survival Childhood Abuse Recovery Program. So do you just want to tell the listeners a little bit about that and what that involves?
Yes, absolutely. So this is a 12-week group program, which this is almost brand new. And the reason it's new is because it's come from the foundation of me working with lots and lots of clients and figuring out what works and what doesn't. And I did fight against myself to create a group program. But what I've learned, one is about the isolation. Two, trauma thrives when you're feeling you're the only one going through it. Trauma thrives when it wins almost when it makes you feel like your life is the only one that's in like tatters and everybody else is doing so well, because obviously social media, who's posting their failures in social media, right? Who's posting the fight they had? They're all posting these brilliant photos. So it loves isolating us. And also, when you are healing as a group, when you're working together as a group, it's the support, the community, and the space we hold as a group that makes such a big difference in you being able to recover quicker. That has been my experience, and hence the reason why I've created this as a group program where it's 12 weeks. We don't do just work for 12 weeks. I've put weeks in the middle where you can take a breath, because so when I first started just working one-on-one clients, I used to do 6-week programs. And then all of a sudden it started extending to 12 weeks because the clients needed a breather in between, because it's emotional work. It's not just something you're simply going, oh yeah, I've got a wound, I'm going to put a plaster on it. We're diving deep. trying to dig everything out and throw it off from, so that it no longer controls us, hence the 12 weeks. And we do it in a very small intimate group. And what we do is we go through 12 weeks of almost clearing everything that has happened, to helping you build it. I always say the first two is working on your past, and then we work on your present, and then we help you build your future. So it's almost a holistic program where I've used coaching, which is what I'm expert at, my coaching, my mentoring, my healing. I'm a movement analysis practitioner. And the best thing is, by the time this program starts again in March, I will also be a somatic and EMDR therapist. So I'm bringing all the tools that I have in my arsenal to help support a tiny group of women, so that they can literally see how life-changing it is when trauma no longer controls everything you're doing.
That's amazing. And do you do this in a group, as in face to face, or do you do it online?
So we will do it I didn't want to do it face to face to begin with, because it's still quite personal. So there will be quite a few things we do within the program where you meet yourself and you do it. So that still, you keep your privacy. You don't have to share everything if you don't want to share. You just know and understand that the other women here have also been through similar experiences, and we're all rooting for you. And if it's something, it's too much for you, you're like, I don't want to share, it's still too personal, because it is personal and private. You don't. I don't want anyone thinking, oh, I have to go in that group in a Zoom call live and then start talking about what happened to me. Nothing like that. We're only working within it, and it's very personalized. And we also don't, like I said, like if I was saying, oh yeah, this happened to me, it's not that. You know what happened to you, and the times where you have to speak out, because this word that I'm speaking right now holds a vibration, nothing like any, it's just too good a vibration for us to release and to manifest. So what we do is, if you're like, no, I don't want anyone to hear it, you meet yourself, you speak, we can't hear you, but we still hold the space for you. So what is private, what is yours, what is personal, what is uncomfortable still stays with you, but it releases without anyone knowing what it was. So it's a live group program for 12 weeks. So we do 2 weeks break, 2 weeks break. And in between break, I'm there to support them. Plus, we also do Q&A and hot seat if they prefer that, oh, I want to come and I want to talk about what happened to me. Like, just a simple example, one of my one-on-one clients actually had sepsis afterward starting dealing with trauma, because trauma will always manifest in some sort of physical form before it releases. So hers was, because it was such an extensive trauma, she ended up in hospital. So obviously we needed 1 week to just talk through that, work through that. And that's how we do that.
And as we record today, I'm just sort of looking back at my 3 year post sepsis recovery. So this time 3 years ago, I was in hospital, and it was very traumatic. And so I do know how traumatic that can be.
Yeah.
I was interested when you were talking earlier about that group setting that you were saying, you know, about how you discovered that having people in a group helped to release that trauma, and sort of, we are pack animals, aren't we? We do need to be in a pack. That's what we're here for, to have a tribe. And I remember I've done yoga for years as a yoga teacher, but previous, I think I was doing yoga for 12 years before I became a teacher. And yoga is, even before COVID, when we used to go to a yoga class and we'd roll out the mat and say hello to the people that we kind of knew, it was still a very isolating thing to be doing. And I remember going on my first yoga retreat and actually being there with people 24 hours a day, sitting, eating dinner together, having conversations. And it was the most uplifting experience, because you didn't even really need to speak much. Everyone just got you.
Absolutely. That's what I'm trying to almost tell everyone, because it's very daunting to begin with when you think, I've been through childhood abuse and you want me to come in a group setting and like be with these people. But what you need to understand is, It's the isolation that's making it worse. It's,
Yeah.
you know, when you feel like you belong, when you feel like these people get me, they understand me, they've been through not exactly the same, but some similar experiences. They know when I say certain things, why I'm saying it. They know when I behave a certain way, why I'm behaving that way. I can be free to be myself in this group because everyone understands, and that belonging is what helps you heal. Because, like, you know, sometimes, like, you've been in the hospital, Suzanne, like you were saying just now, you know, when you're in a hospital, when you're sitting in a hospital bed, all of a sudden you're like, oh, why me, why is my life like this, why do I have to be sick? And then all of a sudden in the next bed, this person comes in who is worse than you. You're all of a sudden like, oh, I'm not that bad. It's that sense almost that uplifts you. Like you said in your yoga retreat, it uplifted you, because no matter where they all came from, whether you made introductions or not, whether you even it was just that they all came for the same purpose, and that purpose is what uplifts us out of this almost this hole that we unknowingly dig, thinking I'm the only one.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. I remember. I turned to yoga for health reasons, to manage pain, and I used to look at other people's practice, which I know you're not supposed to do, and think, oh, I wish I could do that, or I wish I could do that. And until that moment when I was sat around that table talking to all of these other women, I realized that everybody around that table practiced yoga because they had a problem. They didn't just do it for fun. It was because it healed them from either a traumatic level, a mental level, or spiritual or physical. It didn't really matter what the purpose was. We were all there to enjoy the same thing. And I remember it was the first time I even tried meditation. And we all came back into the room after this group meditation. And when you were talking earlier about the vibration and just this vibration in the room from everyone's breath, breathing together, was immense. And pretty much everyone had tears because it was this release that we'd all had. It was wonderful.
Yes, absolutely. That, like we said, we don't, like you initially said, Suzanne, like, we are tribal. This is what I say in most of my talks when I speak to someone, or if I'm holding a masterclass, right? As human beings, if we think about it, we can't shoot poison darts against our predators. We can't run as fast as a cheetah. We can't fly. We can't breathe. And literally, physically, we can't do anything when we're out there in the wild, right? But when we came from the caveman era, all of a sudden now we're on top of the food pyramid. We are on top of that chain. We are it, right? Almost. So we are taming tigers. We are helping, like, endangered animals. We're going under the sea. We're doing it. We can fly. Well, not by ourselves, but with the so we've done it all. How have we done it? The reason we've not only survived in the caveman era, but we've come all the way up to the top, and we are where we are today because of the tribe, because of the support, because we looked out for each other, because we watched out, because we did things together. That's why the reason the tribal instinct is so strong is because it is linked to our survival. Hence the reason why when we do things like yoga in a group, a retreat in a group, a healing session in a group, meditation in a group, that group vibration from our survival instinct, it supports all of us, because it knows our mind, our unconscious mind, our subconscious mind, our conscious mind even, is so well versed in knowing what's good for us and also what's bad for us. Hence the reason why it's hidden so much trauma and abuse from ourselves, so that we can survive. But it knows when it's time to release, and it looks around and it goes, oh, a whole team is coming together. That means they're going to look out for each other, because that's what we've done since the caveman eras. So that means it then allows you to release, because it knows you're ready. Hence why a group setting is so beautiful for something that traumatic, because otherwise doing one-on-one is good. Like I have a lot of one-on-one clients. I work with them one-on-one, but I always feel like saying to them, you know what? Let's get you in the group, because that is so different. And I always say to anyone who comes to me, I'm like, okay, yeah, I can work with you one-on-one, but if you come into the group program, you're not just saving your investment, but also you're getting more what you will than you will one-on-one.
Because you're going to build those friendships and those allies, and it's that trust element, isn't it? You've got this whole bigger vastness of trust and confidence in each other, and you can egg each other on, and yeah.
Exactly that. Exactly that. I know when I first did my own healing, when I started on my own healing journey and all of that, the thing that had the most impact on me, and then I became I learned with them on how to coach the way they do. I have got 2 coaching certifications. So with them, they did a small group setting. There were 6 of us and 2 instructors, so 8 in total. It was a 5-day intensive. But you know, the biggest change that happened, the biggest thing that I felt was they said to me, not just to me, but everybody, like, I'm just going to use me as an example, Prash, you will never believe that you've transformed and you've changed. You won't, because you're just going to sit and think, oh, I won't. That's what your mind has told you forever. But when you see the other 5 people sitting with you transform and change, when you see the difference in them, you will understand that difference has happened in you as well. It's you don't learn by looking at you or feeling what's happening. You learn by looking and feeling what's happening to them, because you're going through the exact same motions.
Yeah.
And that was transformative as anything, because I saw people from almost looking like, you know, when you look haggard from life, almost and these 5 people now are my best friends. They're from all parts of the UK. We don't even live nearby, but anything, and that's the first group I go to say, oh, this is what happened. That support, oh my God, that's where I learned the importance of doing things in a group setting.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for sharing that. So if you could share like one of your biggest successes, either personal or from like a client, what example would you give?
So biggest success, I could give a couple of clients one, but I think I'd rather speak kind of for myself in a sense, because it keeps on reminding me why I do what I do.
Yeah.
So initially when I went, and the reason I had to go on this journey of healing and self-discovery and self-development was because I was in a 10-year marriage and it completely fell apart. And I became a single mother with a 7-year-old daughter, sofa surfing for quite a few months because I had nowhere to go. And then I found a place where I could rent. But at that point, I went into a very big place of depression and anxiety. And there was no day went by almost where I felt like my daughter would be better off without me. But then I looked back and I realized that it all happened. Everybody was, and the biggest problem that happened was almost 90% of my friends and whoever was as a team with us when we were a couple, they all left me. They all thought I was the bad person in the relationship for breaking the relationship, because from outside in, the relationship looked gorgeous. A husband, a wife, a daughter. What more do you want? A loving family. But the only reason it looked so beautiful from outside in was because of the abuse I'd endured. I didn't even know what a healthy relationship looked like. I was also a grade A people pleaser, because that's what happens when you've been through abuse. I would do anything for everybody, but the resentment was building. It would always, for everybody. So the worst thing that happened after I sofa surfed, finally found a place to rent, stayed with my daughter, was because I was always in that dark, there was a dark cloud following me all the time. My 7-year-old started mirroring my emotions, because that's what kids do. They don't do what you say, they do what you do, right? They follow you. And then we ended up in a GP surgery with her, because she came to me one morning and said, Mama, I can't breathe. I'm struggling to breathe. So straight away, I took an emergency appointment, and then when we got there, the GP said she's having a nervous breakdown. She's having an anxiety attack. She was 8. that's when I just had to, it was in the GP surgery itself. And the GP looked at me and said, "Are you okay?" I looked like I had seen a ghost.
Oh,
I was white. And the GP was more worried about me than her almost. But that's because that's when the realization hit that this is what I've done to you. It's not you, I did it to you. By wallowing in self-pity, by going into, not that I did it because I wanted to,
yeah.
but I stayed in there too long. I stayed in there because I felt lonely. I felt like I was the bad. I accepted the guilt of the marriage breaking down, the shame of it. I accepted that when everybody told me that you had such a loving family, what did you do? You broke a family apart. All of that. And then I didn't even think, I was just like a zombie walking through life, and I didn't even realize what I was doing to her. And then now from that point on, realizing this is it, this is where it all ends, and then transforming myself. I know it sounds so like beating my own drum or
Hey, you have
blowing
to.
our own trumpet, but
No,
you know
go
what?
for it.
I don't think there's anything wrong in saying I think I am my own success story, because what I
Absolutely.
have now, so the relationship I have with my ex-husband, people are always saying to me, are you guys back together? Almost like those who see us in parties together, doing Shreya's birthday together, taking pictures together. They're like, are you guys back together? I'm like, no, we're just good friends. And what changed? He didn't change. I
You've
changed.
changed.
I did
Yep.
the work on myself.
Yep.
And the relationship I have with my daughter, I wish it on everybody. Everybody should have relationships like that, because it's just incredible. And from where I was to where I am today, when I look back almost over a decade now, it's night and day.
And it's quite uplifting, really, isn't it, when we look at that word dis-ease, and then that was that trigger for you to go, look, I need to get this at ease. I need to
Yeah.
sort this out, because that's how it manifested. And I'm a true believer in illness coming from what, our environment, nature, nurture.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't like it. Sometimes I'm sure you're like me, Suzanne, when people say, "Oh, yeah, you thought this illness into your life, you manifested it." It's not that. Nobody thinks, "Oh, I want to be sick, I want to be ill." It's just the fact that when so many things happen to us at once, and when stress takes over, and we're just going through motions in life, we're not even thinking about illness, but it slowly starts manifesting and
Yeah.
comes out in many different forms.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because of that emotional turmoil, the constant battling of how do I make things right. We forget ourselves, right? I forgot physically what I was like. I was almost always in my mind thinking dark thoughts because nothing was going right. So it was bound to manifest somewhere. For me, unfortunately, it manifested as a brain tumor, which thank God now is under control. I'm still under a specialist in a hospital and things. It's there, but it's fully controlled. But it had to manifest. Why wouldn't it? Because I was stressed all the time. The only hormone probably coursing through my veins was cortisol.
Cortisol, yeah.
So it was bound to manifest.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't mean I said, "Oh, yeah, I'm going to think brain tumor into my life."
Mm-hmm.
And it was also never going to change like this by just thinking, like, the toxic positivity, by just thinking, "Yeah, I'm okay, I'm fine, I'm healthy."
When you're not.
A deeper work needed to be done, and that came from that on that day when at 8:30 in the morning in the GP's office when I went.
It was just a light bulb. Yeah.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Oh, thank you for sharing that, because that's a really heartfelt story, and I'm glad to hear that you're well and you're here and able to help all these women with your program. So I'm just wondering if there's anything else. Oh, I've got one question actually. When I was looking on your website and I was looking through your program, I have a question for you.
Absolutely.
What is, I don't know if I'm going to say this correct, tabula rasa?
Tabula rasa is just a fancy term of saying a clear table.
Oh, okay.
So you start, so that's the very first module where we start by clearing everything
out.
and we start with a blank slate.
So that's what you did when you were in the doctor's office. That was your tabula rasa moment.
Yes. It's the starting point. It's the point where you're like, this, now I'm going to start fresh.
Yeah, let's get this.
Yes.
Let's unpick this.
Yes. I think if I'm not wrong, it's Latin, but I might be completely wrong. I just looked for a fancy word. I loved it, and
I like it. It's like, oh, what's that mean?
So, yes.
So for everyone that wants to get in touch with Prash, all of the links are going to be in the showcase. You can find her on Facebook, Instagram, obviously her lovely new website. I'm just having a look. And obviously, do you have like a private Facebook group? That's really hard to say. For anybody that's not in the program, or is it just for program people that you have your groups?
No, I used to have a Facebook group, and then I said bye to it just a couple of months ago, because when you're not ready to work on the things itself, you don't want to be visible within the group where people can see who you are, but it's a very intimate thing.
Yeah.
What I work with, so people don't feel comfortable being in a group. I had a few people I had about 90 people in the group, but they were all coming just to support me. It wasn't like they might have been, I don't know, but they never said. So I decided, no, a private Facebook
group for the private,
going through the program, because they're ready. They're ready to be a part of it.
They want to change. Exactly. And that's where you need to put your focus as well. So if there's anything that you could share with the listeners to wrap up our episode, what would it be? If someone was listening to this right now and they were like in your doctor's surgery, let's say, they were faced with something, what would you say?
I would always say to everyone, only do anything when you feel ready to do it. When you feel like it's too much, when you feel like everything you're putting your focus on is not going the way you want it to do, want it to go, when you feel like you're putting all the love and effort on everybody else, but it doesn't feel like you're getting it back, when you feel like you're saying sorry for things that's not even your fault, when you literally look around your life and you feel like things are not going the way this is not the life you envisioned for yourself, just understand that trauma, and especially childhood abuse, is something that almost gets repressed because our mind wants to keep us safe. So what I would say to you is, when you feel like that, and when you feel ready, that's your sign that you're almost ready. You seeing these things. And when you feel ready, explore what's right for you, what feels right, and go do that. I will never say, do it with me, do it with this person, do it that. I will always say, you will know when you're ready. And go do it.
And your journey will begin, and it will be a slow journey, but it will be the journey that you need to take
it will, and like you said, it will be a journey that's absolutely worth every moment of your time.
Oh, thank you so much, Prash. It's been absolutely delightful to have you on this episode. So I know the listeners will gain a lot of information from you, and also from your website. You've got some great freebies on there as well. So get on Prash's website and have a look. It's a lovely website. And thank you for your time.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been absolutely incredible. I've loved speaking with you. It's been beautiful.
Same for me.
Thank you for joining us for this powerful episode of Whispers of the Womb with Prash Sharma, the Heartbreak Healer. Remember, healing is a journey, and if you're seeking personalised support on your path, consider exploring both Prash's one-to-one programmes and my own The Wellness to Womb programme. Together we can continue to peel back the layers of trauma and empower you to reclaim your strength and resilience. So stay tuned for more transformative conversations ahead. Thank you for listening. My name is Suzanne Lawson.